My degree thesis is about incommunicability. In order to analyze this thematic, I started from the definition of communication. Communicating means sending a message to somebody. We have two participants in the conversation, A and B. A sends a message to B. B receives the message and has to decipher it. If B clearly understands the message, then we have an effective communication. But if B does not understand the message, the communication turns out to be ineffective. This happens because maybe B is not paying enough attention, or because A is not very clear, but also the experiences of a single individual can create incommunicability. Let us analyze a simple word such as taxi. An Italian person would think of a white car with the word taxi on it. An American person would think of a yellow car. And a person who lives in the Middle East would think of a colored motor tricycle. So a single word can be associated with many meanings, linked to someone's experiences. However, whether the communication is effective or ineffective, it is impossible not to communicate. Even when we are trying not to do that, we are sending a message. Communicating seems the easiest thing in the world, right? Well, that is not correct. We live in the era of communication, and we have a lot of means to do that. But incommunicability is commonplace. This happens also because of social networks. Thanks to Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, we can talk to our friend on the other side of the world with only a click. With Facebook, not only can people communicate with others, but they can also communicate something about themselves. It works like a showcase, and we are the products on sale. So we pay more attention to appearances than to substance, and this also affects communication. We tend to analyze the number and the type of emojis used in a message, and we do not care about its content. If we do not want to answer somebody, we just ignore his message. We are always connected on social networks, but we are not really there. Talking to someone face to face gives us the possibility of having complete communication. We can see his or her expressions and gestures, and we can hear his or her tone of voice. On social networks, all these things are replaced with emojis. Plus, behind the screen, we can pretend to be whoever we want, because nobody will never know the truth. Incommunicability has always existed, considering it is strictly linked to communication. I analyzed some literary and cinematographic works in Italian, English, and French based on this thematic. I found four main categories: incommunicability of language, incommunicability in couples, incommunicability towards ourselves, and incommunicability towards people and society. I'll start talking about a famous English play, Waiting for Godot, written by Samuel Beckett. The plot is very short and simple. Two tramps, Estragon and Vladimir, are waiting for Godot to come, but he never arrives. They remain in the same spot for the entire play, and they meet a further three characters, Pozzo and his slave Lucky, and a boy who tells them that Godot will not come. The incommunicability of language is one of the main themes of this play. Estragon and Vladimir always do the opposite of what they say, and their dialogues make no sense at all. So the incommunicability is not only between the characters, but also between their words and actions. An example of incommunicability in couples is the film Revolutionary Road. April and Frank, the main characters of the story, are the classic perfect couple living in the 50s. They are married with two children, a girl and a boy, and live in a beautiful villa. However, this perfection is not as real as it may seem, because their relationship is affected by a profound incommunicability. April is not satisfied with the life they have created for themselves, and she is convinced that her husband feels the same. Nevertheless, Frank does not want to change his life. Throughout the entire movie, they both seem to be unable to tell the truth, but when it emerges, it is so full of anger and cruelty that he hurts the other person. Regarding French literature, I analyzed The Stranger, written by Albert Camus. Meursault, the protagonist, is an apathetic man without interests or feelings. He is indifferent towards the surrounding world, and he is not able to communicate with it, and he is alone with himself. Camus insists on the fact that we are all alone in this world. We were alone when we were born, and we will be alone on the day of our death. Life is a sequence of random events, and we, as human beings, do not have any power over it. Therefore, communication is a useless means with no purpose. Regarding French films, I chose It's Only the End of the World. It tells the story of Louis, a writer who finds out he is ill. He has not seen his family for 12 years because he chose to move to another country. Nevertheless, after his illness was diagnosed, he decides that it is time to go back to say goodbye to his relatives. The entire film is based on this family's incommunicability. Each character talks about certain issues and problems, but it seems that they are not talking about anything important, since the situation remains the same as always. Louis does not find the courage to tell them the truth. Incommunicability afflicts them all like a disease. They all talk, but they are not able to tell the truth or talk about important issues.